All right, this is a video to how to begin a broadcast in GoToWebinar. And the first thing obviously you want to do is open up the PDF of your slides. This is just a typical PDF presentation. I want to mention that having something open like PowerPoint or Word or something like that could crash the system because it's just too much bandwidth being used. So I suggest after you create your presentations in PowerPoint, turn them into a PDF, and the PDF is the only thing that you want open. You also don't want open any other extraneous browser windows such as Facebook or your email or anything. You just want your PDF and the GoToWebinar window. So here's your PDF. You might want to adjust your reader so you take away these sidebars. You can even click on here and hide the toolbars. That way you got a nice clean presentation, but if you have some of that stuff to the side, it doesn't really matter. People will still see it. All right, so you have your PDF open. The next step is to go to GoToWebinar, and you click on sign into your account. And obviously you sign in. Now, if you haven't used GoToWebinar your first time here, you would want to, it's gonna automatically upload the apps that for your computer so you can access it all, but it's all automated and it should go off without a hitch. Okay, so here's your scheduled webinars here. So you want to pick the one that you want to start, and this one's called video training test. It's just a test for this video purpose, and basically you go ahead and just hit the start, pick the right one, and then hit start. And this will launch your application that will be downloaded automatically. Once it's downloaded, it won't do it again. It'll just launch this window here. So it launches. So it takes just a minute to get it going. You always want to start your webinar about 10 or 15 minutes early to make sure that it's actually working. Okay. Go back to our PDF. It's going to verify the meeting ID, and it says the meeting is starting. And that's it. Now you'll have this window over here, which has a number of different options. Obviously, let me turn that down. Okay. So there's always a lady that introduces and things like that, but you just ignore that. Here we go. This is the main dashboard, and it's actually quite easy. Here you'll see that there's an audio test. So if you're getting a signal here through your microphone, then obviously there's a good audio, but you should always ask people, any attendees that are on previous to you beginning your presentation, ask them for an audio check and just say put yes in the chat box or something if they can hear you and see the slides okay, just to double check. This is a mute button. You can turn this on and off so that your microphone is cut off in case you need to cough or something like that. Okay. The other things that you'll want to see, you don't really have to mess with any of this stuff, but just showing you different things about it. You can open this here. Anytime you want to expand one of these modules, you just hit the plus button. And it'll show attendees. Obviously, that's me as a staff member, but your attendees as they join will be listed in this window here. We're not going to get into polls, questions, and handouts because that's a little bit more advanced, and we'll talk about that in another video, but you don't really need to do that. The one thing you want to do here is open up a question box, and this is where you're going to see people writing their questions, and this is important for engagement. Okay, so you'll see that you don't have to type anything back, but you can see the questions being asked in the question box, and then you can answer them. The problem with this is that it's not a very big box, as you can see. So you're not going to be able to see many of the questions. So you can detach this. If you want to detach one of these modules, they all come undone from this dashboard, and you can drag them somewhere else. And the only one I really do is the questions, so I can see more of them. So to detach something, take your little mouse here and go to this little arrow triangle icon. It says undock pane from control panel, and let me show you what happens. Click that. Here's your question box. Okay, and you'll see the questions being lined up and who's asking them. Okay, so obviously this is blocking your vision of your slide. Obviously your attendees don't see this dashboard or this question box. They're only still seeing the slides, but you want to be able to see the slides. So you can move this somewhere, and what I do is simply just grab the edge here with my mouse, and you can make it wider and longer. Just grab the little edge here until you see the double arrows and pull it. And what I do is I just move it over here out of the way of the slides. You can make it as thin as possible. You can still pretty much see a majority of the questions, and you can move this thing as far over to your screen as possible just to get so you can see the slides. So remember, your attendees don't see any of this stuff. They're seeing the slides just fine, but this is just so you can see the questions and be able to see the slides at the same time. So that's basically it. So you're ready and set up, ready to go. Now we're going to start our broadcast. So when you start seeing people come in, you'll see people come in before you start the broadcast. They're allowed to join the room, and you'll see names lined up in here. So you don't really need to see the names, so you don't really have to worry about that too much. You really just want to do your presentation. So the first thing that you do is very simple. You click Start Broadcast. Okay. So the broadcast is now started, and people can actually, it'll just say the broadcast started in the room. It's like a waiting room that they see. They're not seeing the slides yet because you have to hit screen share. So your next step is to share your screen. So it says no one sees your screen. You hit this big blue button and you open it up, and it says on air showing screen. Now people can hear you and see the screen and see the slides. That's basically it. Okay, that's really all there is to it. You can go and double check your audio and make sure that you're still getting the audio signal, and that's fine. You can also see audience view. You can see what they're seeing, and it shows you a little box here that proves that your slides are actually being broadcast to your attendees. So you don't have to worry about that. You just double check that if you have to. I don't even bother with that most of the time. I got my questions ready to go. Everybody can hear me. And here's the important part. You want to start your recording. Okay. So all you got to do is hit this record button, and it'll automatically start recording the presentation. You do want to double check your settings, and let me show you what that, you only have to do this one time, but you want to try to do it first if you're going to be on your own computer. You want to check this. Use GoToMeeting integrated audio. It records everyone who speaks via microphone or telephone or whatever. Of course, everyone's muted, okay, unless you unmute them. And I'm not going to bother with that because that's more advanced again. But usually right here, you'll see in the attendees, there's this little green microphone. And by default, all the attendees are muted, but you can go to each name and click this and open up their microphone if they were going to talk. Of course, they're probably not going to do that 99% of the time. You're the one presenting and they're just listening. Okay, they're going to ask their questions in the chat box. So make sure that go to meeting here. Don't click any of these other ones. And then always make sure that remind me to convert recordings, because if you don't see the convert box at the end, you won't be able to use the recording, or it's kind of difficult. So just click that, remind me to convert recordings, and you'll see that when we're done here. And of course, you can browse to see where the recording is gonna end up. And I would suggest the desktop. You can browse anywhere you want, any kind of folder, but the desktop obviously is where you're gonna find it easiest. Don't send it to some kind of download area or something. Choose desktop, so as soon as your presentation is finished, you can find the recording. So sometimes it hides somewhere and it's hard to find. Okay, you don't need to worry about any of this kind of stuff here. It's basically just want to worry about the recording here. So just double check and make sure those are pretty much the default settings, but you just want to double check, especially saving it to the desktop. That's not the default. The default is some kind of folder that GoToWebinar provides. So, and that's can be difficult to find on your computer sometimes. All right, we're ready to go here. The people are already seeing, okay, the people are already seeing the screen. They're hearing me talk right now. I'm going to go ahead and hit the record button. Let me show you what that does. Tell people that they're recording, and they'll get the recording, the following day or whatever your policy is. And also remind people that they can ask questions by typing in the chat box. Everyone who is on the webinar, all the attendees, had their own little dashboard here, but it's not as large. It's miniature. And it basically just has an area to type questions in and things like that. It's not big. It's very small. It's just about the size of this top fifth area here, and it's just got a place to type, and it's the chat box, but you don't need to worry about your chat box. What they type will show up here in the questions, okay, and you can just read them as people type in. If people start typing in weird stuff, you don't let it distract you. The best thing to do is to do your presentation and tell everybody you're going to have a Q&A at the end, and then you can just go back here, start from the top one, and kind of read down. Not everyone will have a question. Some people will put strange comments in. Don't let that bother you, okay? So we're recording right now, and all you have to do here is basically, if you want this dashboard to disappear, you can click this little arrow here, and it collapses it, okay? So all you see is this little sidebar area. That gives you more room. You don't necessarily have to do a whole lot here. You're reading the questions. You're not going to mess with much of this over here, but if you need to open it back up, you just click the arrow again, and it reappears, okay? So I usually just hide that, got my question box open, and now I'm just going to page up and down through my PDF. Remember, don't use an open Word document or an open PowerPoint application. Create your PowerPoints and then convert them into a PDF and only use your PDF reader. It'll be a lot less problematic that way. And then you can just flip through your PDF as you go. That's part of my PDF reader. Usually that loads before it all starts, but that's it. All right, and you can just page up and down as you go through your slides, talking. People, otherwise known as your market, bunch of niche problem solutions, talk about 3 big problems, do your presentation. Then when you're done, keep this open and keep the recording going while you answer the questions that people will be typing in here. And you can address them. Hey, Bill's got a question about how do I find my target market? Well, Bill, that's a great question. Read them out loud so that everyone can hear them. Remember, the attendees can't see the questions, so you might want to repeat them out loud so that people understand what you're answering, and everyone's learning at the same time that way. So Bill's got a question about where to find my target market. Well, LinkedIn groups is a great place to find your target market. All right, ends the question. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. So I open this back up. Remember, hit stop recording. Okay. And basically, you're done with the recording. Now you want to end your webinar. So you say goodnight to everybody. And all you have to do to end it is to click this little X at the very top that says quit. Okay, this is the very top X in the very top right-hand corner of that one. Click that, okay, and you'll see this window. Are you sure you want to end the webinar for everybody? And you say yes, okay. So that's basically it. Now you'll see this little window. You can ignore that. No one's seeing that. This is what will appear after you're done with your webinar. Okay, so you can end the webinar for everybody. You can close your tabs. You can close your PDF and everything, get ready to convert. So you got this box here, and it should be clicked. If not, click both of these, okay? And then you can choose your format, WMV or MP4. If you don't choose a format, the GoToWebinar default recording file is really large and cumbersome, and you can't upload it to YouTube or something like that to share. So I picked WMV because it's the easiest to upload to YouTube, which I send recordings to the attendees the next day, I just upload it to my YouTube account and send them an unlisted or private video or something where you just give them the link and they can watch it. It doesn't have to be public. It can, it's your choice. But anyway, I put those, I put all those, I send people YouTube because a lot of people can't watch files that you just send them. So if anybody can watch a YouTube video, especially on their phone. So that's what you want to do. So what we do here is we just go ahead and hit convert recording. And this, you'll see it converting here. Now, depending on your internet connection, about an hour-long presentation could take anywhere from about 13 to 26 minutes or so to convert. If you have a slower internet or a slower computer, it's not really the internet here, it's your processor. If you have a really slow or old computer, it could take, a little bit longer, even 30 or 40 minutes to convert, but you can just let this convert and work on something else, and let it convert. And I'll show you where it is when it finally gets done here. So this is obviously converting fairly quickly. This is basically because it wasn't a very long presentation, but this is it. And this recording here is important. This is something that you definitely want to do because people don't always attend live, and you need to send the attendees who registered yet didn't see it live the recording, because if you're pitching a product or doing a training, they're going to kind of demand that. So this recording, being sure to hit the record button and then doing the conversion, there it is, done. So let me show you where it is now. So I saved it to my desktop. It's right here, and this is a WMV. So it's just a basic, really simple Windows movie file. And now if you have a Mac, it might be a little bit different, and you might have to Google what exactly that is. But you can, a Mac can pick up, obviously, other files, and any of those files that Mac creates can still be uploaded to YouTube. Okay, usually it's MOV or something like that. I'm not a Mac user, so I don't really know. But that was it. So here's your recording, and you upload this to your YouTube account. It should upload in about 5 minutes, and you're ready to send that link to that video to your attendees.